into the Formula E also Championship. Revo on pole from Marcus Nelson and Sebastian Ocampo. Then it's Tommy in 4th. Championship leader Oscar Folstead starts 5th from Pablo Sierra and Daf Sanchez. Remy LeBeau starts 8th from Babinus Jr. and Daniel Bogdasarov. Then it's Zach Wallace starting 11th from Bastien Tan. And returning to the championship, it's Ben Allen Lee. The Red Devil starts 14th, hot off his first race win. Then it's Enoch Q, U-Cable, Tonali Gabo, Ica Iworld returning to the championship, Zay Lane, Mohamed Awawi, Pierre Gasly, and Leo. Well then, we're almost at the end game of the season. We've got a DS-Tuchito 1-2, all 5 lights go on. And the Amsterdam E-Prix green. That's a very good start from both front row men now. I think Nelson with the inside line coming through the first back turn light. Yes, he does take the lead here in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. And still with that, the two DS-Tuchito guys are actually streaking away. Alan Lee in his first race back in the championship, getting himself a 5-second time penalty. He's not running with the number 98 car because of course, for this season, that second Nissan car is registered under car number 43 and so will be changed to 98 next season. Nelson, however, leading from Revo and Tommy as Pablo Sierra still in 5th as Folstad drops down to 7th and he could drop to 8th. He's having an absolutely terrible start. He has dropped down to 8th. That's the championship leader, and it almost seems as if the championship lead will swap hands if it does finish like this, because that's Folstad dropping down to 9th position as we start lap 2 of 18 here in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. As you can see, the championship leader really struggling out there, dropping quite far down the order. Only one man has opted to start this race on different tyres as we see the two DS-powered Tuchito drivers going up the hill into the second sector. Revo with the inside. Can he try and take the lead away from his teammate? Yes, he does. That's Revo to the race lead. Tom further back. Look at that. Lunging to the inside. The Hong Kong number 45. As he looks to the outside, he'll get a tack load. So will Marcus Nelson. Coming down into this tight chicane that leads us on to the final few turns. And look at that. Into the wall. Go the two front men. That's Tommy and Revo, both in the wall. They've had a massive accident and both have lost their front wings. Ocampo moves up into second position and Revo has been able to get out of that, but he has lost his front wing. It's a blockade down there and a virtual safety car has been called, and it's for Tommy, who is out of this race. And on lap 3, look at that. That is the sight of an upside down DS Venturi car, and Revo has come into the pits and he's going to drop far down the order. In terms of the championship, that helps Bogdasarov, Nelson, Ocampo and Oscar Folstad. Folstad came into this race quite a ways behind, quite a ways ahead of Revo, but behind his target of winning the championship before he even made it into Lagos. He was about 7 points ahead as we now go back racing. Nelson, 8.5 seconds in the lead. He's looking to try and win here in the Netherlands. Of course, doesn't have the power of the Orange Army behind him, but Remy LeBeau, look at that, he is the capitalizer. He's found his way up into 3rd position. His teammate dropped down to 11th. And looking to the guys who've returned to the championship, Ica Iworld, he will be running the 8th in the playoffs, but he likely won't be able to make the playoffs unless he wins the fan vote. As coming down into the chicane comes Tonali Gabo on lap 4 of 18, however, Nelson whipping the field here. And we do have news about that Pinnacle team. It's not just Akari who's left, but the entire Pinnacle outfit as a whole will be leaving the championship by the time we head into the playoffs. Zach Wallace setting a new fastest lap of a 1:01.466 in its 17th position. But as well as the Pinnacle team now having to find a new investor to continue running with that same entry, Akari's leaving means that now the guy who won the playoffs last time and held them is not going to be able to even attempt to make it, even though the only way he would have been able to do it would have been through the fan vote. But just running through the list of teams that will be able to try and take that entry as Marcus Nelson sets a 1:0.033 to start lap 5 of 18. Let's just run through the list as we see Vasky and Tan use attack mode. Many drivers now setting sub 1 minutes. Vasky in a 59.150. Revo going 0.05 of a second quicker as there goes Vasky up into 7th. Revo closing in on Babinus Jr. And it looks like, yes, Remy LeBeau has unfortunately dropped down to 4th position. I'm just going to run through the teams that are currently looking to try and take the pinnacle outfit. We've got Trackhouse Racing coming in from the FG Series, NASCAR and MotoGP. They are looking to be the most likely to come in. Then you've got App Sportsline returning to the championship for, I believe, their 3rd time. Virgin Racing also returning to the championship for, I believe, their 3rd time. And a new entry, Falstad Racing, as we've got yellows in the 3rd. And that's for Reinhard Babinus Jr., Tommy's own teammate, and oh, he's collided with Pierre Gasly. Ocampo is coming to the pits. Remy LeBeau is coming to the pits. And out of the race has gone Babinus Jr. as iWorld has unfortunately gotten himself a 5-second time penalty and has dropped to the back of the pack. Virtual safety car has been called, and we are a third of the way through the race, and both Venturi drivers are out of this race with 12 laps remaining. Well, it's so much chaos that happens in this championship, of course, and already Amsterdam showing that it still never ceases to amaze us. Alan Lee, probably not very used to running in car number 43. I'm pretty sure this is his first time using Nissan machinery. Of course, he was technically the Nissan junior driver, although he's not that much of a junior considering he was one of the drivers who made the field on the first ever race in Shanghai. As in comes Marcus Nelson going on to mediums, and did I say Shanghai? I meant Beijing. As we see Sanchez going into the pits, and that was coming in hot with, I believe, Pablo Sierra. So Daniel Bogdasarov leading the way from from Revo, actually, and I believe Marcus Nelson should come out. Oh no! He's behind Ocampo! Ocampo has jumped Marcus Nelson in the pits. 2, 3, and 4 are all World Drivers Champions. 2 and 3 are both double champions, and 1, 2, 3, 4 all in the hunt for the main season championship. Of course, we do count the chase as something completely separate, as down the inside goes Marcus Nelson up into 3rd position ahead of Sebastian Ocampo. And I think what they can try and do down at DS is prepare for wet weather, or if a wreck that encompasses most of the field occurs. Just look at that from Ocampo, diving but missing the mark when it comes to braking. He's not going to really need to brake for this final turn, however, as it is quite banked. He's taken the low line and heads down. Does he have attack mode? Yes, he does, and he does take 3rd away and sets a new fastest lap of 58.583. Remy LeBeau sets a 58.549 as his new fastest lap. As with 10 laps to go, Revo back into the race lead. But of course, that's all due to the fact that he came into the pits much, much earlier than everybody else. Let's look at this from Nelson. Fighting, hustling that gold and black DS Cheetah car to try and just find any way to try and get past Ocampo. And he might have just found his way past if he can just use attack mode and charge in tandem, because Ocampo also going to be able to use attack charge. Let's look at this, heading into the chicane, almost contact between the two, side by side. Revo acting as a bit of a stopgap, hopefully. I'm pretty sure DS Tachida telling Revo to cover off Ocampo and let Nelson by, and I think that's exactly what's happening here. Marcus Nelson takes the lead at half race distance as Ocampo swoops to the inside and takes 2nd position away from Revo. And just pointing out, Oscar Falstad is down in 10th position. Revo's tyres are beginning to deteriorate as in comes an OQ on lap 9 of 18 for his first stop, the only man to start the race on the medium tyres. coming out then. 9 to go. He's going to come out of the pits. He's not going to be lost, I don't think, because Zach Wallace now is hurtling down into turn 1. And is he lost? No, he has come out ahead of U Cable, so he's coming to the pits in 17th. The teams are going to be eagerly watching what Inocu is doing with those soft tyres, what kind of lap times he's setting, what kind of sections he's setting, and more crucially, the type of degradation on a track that's more ground in. As in comes Revo for his second and possibly final stop. So it is Marcus Nelson leading the way from Ocampo and Remy LeBeau, but in terms of Revo's championship chance, this is the man he's going to be watching eagerly for. Falstad, and he has missed his mark. He should come out of the pits in 9th position, and he has come out of the pits in 9th position. There he is ahead of Zay Lane in the number 12 Mercedes EQ car, as track limits warning for Tenali Gabo for Sims Motorsport Nissan in 11th, and you can see why. He's trying to defend from both Pierre Gasly and the Red Devil, two Frenchmen. Actually, no, I think the Red Devil is from the Netherlands, in which case this is his home race, and if that's the case, I'm dearly sorry for not mentioning that, because of course it's a very special occasion for the killer Renault driver. But he is still trying to look for a way to get past the Born Honda man in front of him, and I just think he might have found it. He's using attack charge, and he should be able to take the inside through the first part of this. And yes, 12th position is the Red Devils, as Ocampo dropping off the back of Marcus Nelson, not quite significantly, but significant enough for you to notice. And yes, the Red Devil is Dutch. This is his home race, and I have completely neglected to mention it for the first 10 laps of this race, and I'm very sorry about that. I was, on his return to the championship, not seeing the kind of success that he saw in his Mercedes days. He's dropped down to 20th and last in a car that is severely underpowered, especially considering that Pinnacle not really funding for upgrades or anything like that. They are only really staying there to see through the rest of the season. And I believe, yes, that is Sebastian Ocampo in for a second stop. So Revo might actually, well, he's going to be on softs. Ocampo should also come out of the pits on soft tyres, but it seems to be a little bit of a slower stop than anticipated. Whereas Revo coming out, and he is ahead of Ocampo. I'm not too sure what this means considering we've got 6 laps left, but taking a look at the dashboard, 80% tyre wear for Revo. Ocampo comes out on 98, so it's an 18% offset, and Revo came in, I believe, 2 laps ago, so it's 9% every lap. I think Revo should be fine to make it to the end. Leo is coming in for a second and probably final stop. This does seem to be a 2-stop race, no matter what way you slice it, no matter how early you came in, especially if you're Revo. And look at this, attack mode, getting past his championship rival in the number 7. There goes Revo, and he's hit the wall, and is out! Oh my goodness! He went in too hard into the turn! Revo is out of the Amsterdam E3! Remy LeBeau, Vasky and Tan, all into the pits! As well as that, Pablo Sierra, Daf Sanchez, and with 5 laps to go, that's the man second in the championship, out of this E3 in Amsterdam! Amsterdam! No one could have expected that! Zay Lane and Tenali Gabo both coming in, as well as Pierre Gasly and Ben Allen Lee. And, wow, it's been a while since we've seen some action on track, but I didn't think we'd see that much action, especially for the championship. So it is Marcus Nelson who still leads, from Daniel Bogdasarov and Oscar Falstad, with the gap between the top two over 11 seconds. I do think that Nelson still has to make his second stop. And I don't think he's coming. No, he stayed out as we look with Ocampo, Ocampo's rival. As look at that from Ocampo. We were looking with Falstad, now we are looking with Ocampo. He knows how to make a move on the high line. That's how he won here in season number 14. And on lap 14, he takes third away from Oscar Falstad. Ocampo, well, in Marrakesh, and a track very similar to this. He took the high line on the last lap and went all the way around and past the Maldonado to take the race win. And he's done the same thing to get past Falstad. And at the time, that was one of the closest finishes. And my goodness me, that's a vigorous incident for the other DS man, who's come into contact with, I believe, Iworld. And yes, Iworld losing his entire front wing column as Bogdasarov and Ocampo coming up to the scene of the incident and does, or rather, how much damage does Marcus Nelson have? Because that's wiped out his entire race lead. That's also into the wall further back. That does seem to be, yes, Dav Sanchez losing his entire front wing, and I believe contact with the Red Devil. Marcus Nelson coming into the pits for soft tyres as we look to U-Cable, looking to try and send it round the outside of Zach Wallace, who does hold on to 11th for now, but U-Cable going down the inside, he'll have the low line to also get past Dav Sanchez for 10th position, and Sanchez coming into the pits now. He was holding up Wallace, who also follows him into the pits. So it's Daniel Bogdasarov leading the field from Sebastian Ocampo and Remy LeBeau. There's the two DS McLaren GTR cars of Dav Sanchez and Oscar Falstad. Pablo Sierra is 6th, and Marcus Nelson, in a race that it feels like either he or his teammate should have won, is currently down in 17th. Let's look at that from Ocampo. He's going to take the lead, heading down into that chicane, and it is the race lead for the sole Philippine champion. And Bogdasarov drops down to 4th, in fact, with tyres that should have come off already. But here comes Remy LeBeau. He's got attack mode, and he's got the lead with 2 laps to go. Remy LeBeau leads, and Bastien takes it away. My goodness, in the dying stages here in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, the racing has just kicked it up another level. Bastien leads the field from Remy LeBeau and Sebastian Ocampo. 3 seconds back, 4 seconds back is Pablo Sierra, followed by Marcus Nelson, Daniel Bogdasarov, Zay Lane, Pierre Gasly, Tanali Gabo, and coming out of the pits now, Oscar Falstad, who is starting with Gabo, who's got himself up into 9th, but it's attack mode for Remy LeBeau, trying to reclaim the race lead, heading down the inside, and has to go wide, and gets hit by Sebastian Ocampo, and gets given a 5-second time penalty. That's odd. I don't think that was a penalty for Remy LeBeau. If that's a penalty for anyone, that's a penalty for the man who's come into the pits, and it is Ocampo into the pits for his 3rd and probably final stop on the penultimate lap. Has he just given up the opportunity of a lifetime, a potential race win, or is he going for the same way he won back in season 14? Either way, it's Bastien versus Remy LeBeau on the penultimate lap. The McLaren number 22 man trying to get himself a race win in season 20 as his teammates fighting for the championship, but currently fighting for scraps of points. So now Bastien just has to fight for the lead and help his team in the constructors, because DS Techeetah has been dominating that for the better part of the season. Meanwhile, their drivers haven't really been doing too much in the championship. Bastien has been the weaker link down at McLaren for the longest time, but he now heads down to start the final lap here in Amsterdam. Bastien leading the field from Remy LeBeau, who has the fastest lap, but also a 5-second time penalty, which would see him drop behind Pablo Sierra, who is currently in 3rd, but not Marcus Nelson, who's 10 seconds off the back. As into the wall goes Mohamed Awawi, who you would think would have experience with that wall in particular, as we see Marcus Nelson come through turn number 3. But out in front, Bastien's pulled 1.5 seconds ahead of Remy LeBeau. Remy's not going to be able to get attack mode in the slightest. He now comes down into the chicane. And on a day where the Philippine champion has decided to retire, Remy LeBeau's hit the wall and seems to drop behind Pablo Sierra. It's going to be Bastian Tan who comes through the final turn in Amsterdam and will win the Amsterdam Prix from Pablo Sierra and Remy LeBeau. Marcus Nelson's been given a 5-second time penalty for colliding with Remy LeBeau. As look at this, yellow's in the third sector as well, and that is for Pierre Gasly, who has lost his front wing. Both Aurelio Pinnacle drivers have been classified a lap down. 19 finishes today, and still yellow's down there. And I believe that's for Sanchez, possibly. No, there's still yellows across the track. The track's been cleared officially now, and now it was for Zach Wallace. And what the finish is. An Q setting a 57.8 to steal the fastest lap from Oscar Folstad. And this is the podium then. Marcus Nelson does hold on to his third place. Pablo Sierra is second. And Bastian Tan, for the first time in a long time, takes home a race win for DS McLaren TGR. Following them is Daniel Bogdasarov, Sebastian Ocampo, Oscar Folstad, and Remy LeBeau. Zay Lane finished in 8th from Tonali Gabo and the Red Devil. Those are your point scorers. Your non-scorers were Pierre Gasly and Han Nawawi, not you. UK Wall, Ben Allen Lee, Daf Sanchez, and Jack Wallace. But the two Aurelio Pinnacles of Leo and Ika Iwald being classified a lap down. The non-finishers were Ravo, Babness Jr. and Tommy. In the championship standings, Folstad leads the way and quite a ways away from Ravo. Following him is Daniel Bogdasarov, tied with Marcus Nelson, and 3 points back is Sebastian Ocampo. An outside championship challenge comes from Pablo Sierra, and mathematically still in contention are Tommy and Daf Sanchez. The top 8 in the championship all still in mathematical contention. The rest of them are not. Remy LeBeau and Bastian Tan are the last of the top 10 and the last of the guys who currently make their way into the chase for the cup on points. Then you've got the Red Devil, Babness Jr., Tonali Gabo, not Q, UK Ball, Alan Lee, and his I guess predecessor in Santino Milan when it comes to that team. Leo, Mohamed Nawawi, Zay Lane, Zach Wallace, Pierre Gasly, and Ika Iwald combined his points tally with Carl Lopez. So in the constructors standings, heading in to the London Prix, DS Techeetah leading the way by quite a ways away, about 22 points from Renault Edams. Then it's DS McLaren TGR, DS Andretti, DS Venturi Formula E team in 5th. Following them is Kero Renault, Nissan Nismo, Sims Motorsport Nissan, Braun Honda GP, Mercedes EQ, and Aurelio Pinnacle. We'll see you guys next time then when the Formula E Motorsport Championship returns.